Welcome everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Tom Smith, I'm Superintendent of Schools, and tonight we're going to give you a project update regarding the new high school project. I know we are competing against the Phillies game, so this is being recorded for watching later, and we will try to keep the presentation as brief as possible, and then we'll open it up for questions afterwards. Those of you, I see a lot of familiar faces, so thank you for coming back. We really appreciate your interest in this project. And what I will do is just take you a little bit through where we are leading up to this, and then our architects who are going to, and designer who are going to get into the thick of the high school design process. We're still in the initial stages of design, but it's pretty exciting, and we're excited for what we're going to present to you. Those of you are hopefully aware that the board selected KCBA as our architectural and interior design firm. Snyder Hoffman has been selected for MEP, that's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing for MEP. They're the ones that are designing the guts of the building. Terraforma Engineering is a civil engineering firm. They design the site layout, and we'll talk about parking and things like that, and the entrance and egress from the campus. And Site Logic is the construction management firm who will oversee the project with us, or for us, and working with the board. So the project schedule, we started in earnest really last spring and continued throughout the summer on schematic design. And you'll see we literally have had hundreds of people weigh in on design and provide feedback on different parts of the building. That will continue over the next several months. Design development, as we talked about, will take place in autumn, which is now through the winter, is when we really start to hone down and finalize the plan, and construction documentation will be submitted in the winter of 25 and through the autumn of 25. So here we are. Construction is slated to start in the winter of 26, with being completed in September of 2029. Now, even when that's done, the demolition for the project is about another year. So that means east, even though the high school will be built and students will be attending there, east will still be standing, as will west, as will Village Park. They will be torn down, and fields will be built in those places, or parking areas or things like that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So progress, we've been meeting weekly with our architect and our Site Logic, our construction management, to really start to hone down on the progress. End user meetings, that's a fancy term. We've been meeting with a lot of teachers. Teachers have had a lot of input and oversight into the classroom design and the overall building design. We've actually even started discussion about the furniture and really building a building for the next 50 years for this and what that looks like. School tours, we visited 2 other high schools that were 3,000 students, and we're visiting another one tomorrow that was recently constructed with 3,000 or more students. The schematic design package, that's really kind of all the nuts and bolts of the building. The site sketch plan has been submitted, and we have a draft of the existing pool study. So one of the parts of this project is a discussion about whether we renovate the existing pool or build a new pool. So we've received that existing draft. Staff engagement, so the end user meetings, as we mentioned, we have talked about the media center, our business center, JROTC, music, the Pennsbury channel, classrooms, general classrooms, security, art, special education. You can see all the lists, but that's really conversations been taking place. All the staff members have come in, looked at plans, and weighed in about their wants and needs through that. Teacher presentations, we've given dedicated teacher presentations for our staff. Took place over the last couple of weeks for that. Furniture, as we mentioned, we've discussed, there's some really innovative changes that have taken place in the school furniture, and we are actively involved in those conversations, so that's pretty exciting. We're talking about taking a whole group to a furniture designed place locally to really look at what does the classroom, not only of today but of the future, look like. And more importantly, how does the furniture impact the design of a classroom and the functioning of a classroom? We mentioned we visited schools that had similar size to us, and we will continue to visit school tours tomorrow. As we mentioned, land development, that's really the layout of the building. Looking at the sketch plan that was submitted to Falls Township, and we have a meeting scheduled with Falls Township to review the project. We've already discussed, had an initial just kind of meeting to talk to Falls Township and let them know. One of the things we'll talk about is during construction, we will lose parking on the site. Particularly, as you know, the construction will be placed on the corner where the gravel lot is. So making sure that parents are aware, parents really of 8th grade, 9th grade, and 10th grade students, that we will have a very limited amount of parking on the school campus. So what we will be doing is, and we've already started to reach out to surrounding areas of, are there ways that we can help facilitate students being able to park, if not on campus, nearby in some other areas. So that's just kind of a general update of where we are. I'm going to allow the architect to get to the good stuff and talk about the building design and building layout and where we are here. And then we'll open it up for questions and anything you want to provide feedback on regarding the program. We've had a number of meetings up until this point where we've had opportunities for the residents who live nearby and just general. We will continue these into the fall, and as we get further on into the project, having sit down, I know there's some interest in what are the science classes going to look like? What is the general class going to look like? So once we have those pretty much honed down, we will start to really talk about what does the classroom of the future look like for our students, so everybody can be able to see that. But that's more to come. We're still really just looking at the skeleton and the general layout of the building, but we have some good stuff to show you, so I'm going to turn it over to Mike, we call him Stroh, Mike Strohecker from KCBA, and Miranda Esposito are going to kind of tag team the next part of the presentation.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Speaking of land development, we'll have our first Planning Commission meeting on the 22nd of October. That's a public meeting, so anybody's welcome to attend that at Falls Township. So, diving into the...
I think because we have some actually neighbors who provided feedback in one of our last meetings. We've actually changed the entrance design based on some of our conversations with that. So students that were leave the building, or staff members, we've adjusted the way that folks will enter.
So, just jumping into the design update, that's the existing site. Is this going to work? West is up here, east, Village Park, the stadium. As Dr. Smith just mentioned, we have changed a little bit of the site circulation. That's where the new school would be located. That's the bus loop, and you can see now that the buses will enter and exit on Queen Anne Drive. The main parking lot in front of the main entrance to the school. The thought here as of right now is that the driveway on the left, upper left there, would be a one-way in, and the other driveway sort of to the up and to the right would be a one-way out. So it would be a one-way circulation through the parking lot there. There's the main entrance to the school. Then there's a secondary parking lot that would be for staff and bus drivers. Roughly 250, 275 parking spots there. Then diving into the building. The building, if everybody's seen it, since the spring, the kind of general look of it looks very similar to the way it did back in the spring when we were hired. However, trust me, this plan changes on a day-to-day basis. Literally just talked to Reggie when he came in 10 minutes ago and talked about how we moved this room here and that room there to try to accommodate the program. So breaking the building down a little bit into the west area of the building, that would be the admin area, the counseling, auditorium, 1,000 seats in the auditorium, 800 on the floor, 200 in the balcony. The area all the way to the left would be the music performing arts area with the instrumental music, orchestra room, and choral room. And then that center gray portion is basically the main lobby and the common space with the media center as well. So this portion of the building would be able to be locked down after hours on weekends so that the academic portion of the building can stay secure and the public can use this portion of the building independently. Moving into the center, sort of the core of the building, this is a 3-story academic wing. Basically, a lot of the general classrooms, the math, English, science, and whatnot, but also the art classrooms, family consumer science, and some of the tech ed spaces. This is 3 stories tall, as I mentioned. And then the easternmost portion of the building would be your PE, athletics, and the cafeteria. So this would also include the auxiliary gym, the natatorium, wrestling room, a weight room, and all the associated locker room facilities. Then up to the second floor. The second floor of this area is just a lot of 2-story space because the auditorium and the media center and whatnot are 2 stories, but there are a couple classrooms. On this side of the building also there's what we're calling a small performance space. So that's a flexible space that could be used for small productions, having students in that room to watch a movie, have a lecture there, things like that. And the second floor, again, is a lot of the same thing that's on the first floor, general classrooms. That bar across the bottom is science, stacked on all 3 floors. And then again, the right-hand portion of and eastern portion of the building is a lot of 2- and 3-story tall spaces, so there's not a whole lot over here on the second floor. There is a fitness lab up on the upper left there. It's the only portion of the PE athletics that's up on the second floor. Then up on the third floor, again, on the western area, there's a few tech ed spaces and a few classrooms. We also have a kind of a nice grouping of a science room, a family consumer science room, and a greenhouse, and actually a tech ed room across the halls so that they can learn how to grow it, and then cook it all sort of right in one little suite, which we think is kind of a neat idea. Then the third story of the academic wing, again, a lot of classrooms. Up on the third floor in the middle bar here is a lot of business classrooms. And again, this is just all 3 of those rooms, the natatorium, the gym, and the auxiliary gym are actually 3 stories tall. As I mentioned in a bunch of these presentations, the building is broken down to 3 zones. The administration and performing arts on the west, the academic core, 3 stories in the center, and athletics and cafeteria to the right. This is just a little blow up of the admin and performing arts area. And as I mentioned, this portion of the building has the secure main entrance, admin, counseling, commons. That's my IT group telling me I have to restart my computer. The auditorium, the stage, the small performance space, music suite, learning stair, and the media center, or us old folks' library. Oh, it's not going to let me. Yeah, that's that space right there. So this is just a short video coming into the main entrance, admin on the right there, secure entrance right here, into the main lobby. Then down in front of the learning stair, which is another feature of the common space. And then we're going to swing into the auditorium here. So that's just a still shot of what the lobby might look like. You can see that we've been very cognizant to incorporate a lot of the Prensbury Pride stuff that you guys have here. So we have your high school wall of fame here. We've got a space for display cases for trophies and or historic memorabilia. And then we also have sort of some built-in seating as well. It's a shot of what the learning stair can be. And there's been a lot of discussion of why are you doing this learning stair? It's meant to be a multifunctional space, a place that could be used. You could have 2 or 3 classes of students sitting there and having a lecture or a presentation. There's talk of a unit lunch perhaps, where students could eat lunch there, all sorts of ways that this space could be used. And in the tours of the schools that we went to, they had similar learning stairs. And one of the big questions we had with those schools was, do they actually use these spaces? And the overwhelming answer was, yes, they do use them. Yeah, there'll be a projector that'll be hung from the ceiling, and on the wall behind where you're looking right now, there'll be a screen that'll come down so that you can do a presentation just like this in that spot. Shot standing on the stage looking out at the auditorium. Again, 800 seats on the floor, 200 in the balcony. Kind of a unique thing with this balcony seats is they're going to be seats similar to what you have are sitting in right now, but they'll actually collapse just like the bleachers you would see in a gymnasium. So again, a lot of the spaces we're trying to design so that they're multifunctional. So they could be an auditorium balcony this period, but it might be, what was the practice? Cheerleading practice in the afternoon. That's that small performance space. It's very similar to what I just talked about, same kind of bleacher seating, but they're actually auditorium seats so that that space could be used. That could be for a science fair with those bleachers closed. We pull them open and it could be a small performance, a little jazz band or something like that. You could have a school board meeting in there. So the idea is to have, again, a lot of multifunctional spaces. That gives you an idea of what that space might look like. We just finished, or we didn't finish building, we designed it and the contractors built it, a new high school for Lower Moreland High School that has a room very similar to this. And it's been very well received and highly used. So this is just a short video, kind of walking into the media center. You kind of see we're trying to keep it nice and bright and light. A lot of soft, comfy furniture. We just did a calculation last week, and it'd be about 10,000 volumes of books. And then just trying to keep a lot of indoor, outdoor spaces so that students would be able to go out into perhaps the terrace of the media center as well. I literally just read an article this afternoon that was of a study that was done about how much better students do when they have access to natural light in the outside.
I don't believe that it'll be 8 minutes in a new building. I think it'll be smaller, something we can do some analysis on. But I do, and I'll just say this, I think that this building is the antithesis of this. And I think that the students don't like it. They don't like that there's no light. It's very compressed. And I think that they're just open up some educational opportunities with that. I'm not saying that, that it's going to be you're having a class in the courtyard or something, but I think it just gives some opportunities and options for
I don't think you're answering the question. You're asking why you need the space. You got the learning area, you got all the stuff in space. Right. You lock everything down. You lock down, you don't allow kids to park in the parking lot. You took that away from them. You lock down your bathroom. You take everything away from them. Why are we taking all this extra space when your history is that you're just going to lock everything down and not allow them to? I think that's what she's asking.
So what we talked about last time is we're looking in the future, so it is going to be different. So there are going to be times where students are taking an online course during the day. So they might not be scheduled into Mrs. Jones' class second period. They're going to have an online class where students taking online classes all over the place. So rather than going to the media center, they could do that on the learning center or in the courtroom. We understand that, but we also want to like parents, that's one of the part of the proposal.
I'm getting to it.
So let us go through, maybe we'll see something get tonight.
So as I mentioned, the center academic core is a 3-story core. Includes art, some of the STEM tech ed labs. I mentioned the science labs are stacked on the south side here on over 3 floors. On the first floor, there's also a large group instruction room. Again, another one of those flexible rooms that could be used for multiple purposes. An outdoor enclosed courtyard and teacher planning rooms, which is a space where teachers can collaborate and have a home base if they don't have their own classroom. A shot of the Pennsbury Path. As you remember, one of the original ideas that we had was this organizing principle of a Main Street or Pennsbury Path that organizes the circulation of the school. A shot of the outdoor courtyard. And outdoor courtyards you see in a lot of schools because you want natural light in every classroom. And the only way you can do that on a big building is to have a courtyard. No, there will not be trees in here. There will not be grass in here. That will be artificial turf and concrete. So it will be very low maintenance. You won't have to get lawnmowers and things like that in there. We've used it in other districts and it hasn't been any problems before. We'll look into it. A shot of a typical classroom corridor. You can see one thing that's lacking from the building, unlike both this high school and West, is very few lockers. Students just don't use lockers anymore. So there are only certain areas of the building that have lockers. We have roughly, I think, 175 or so that are spread throughout the building. Very early days of what a typical classroom should look like. This would be one of the instructional planning centers, as I mentioned, where teachers could have a touchdown space and a space for them to collaborate. This is a small learning stair that's located near the cafeteria. Same sort of area looking back down towards the cafeteria. Then this is a short video that kind of flies you through that science room, FCS room on to the greenhouse. See, this would be the science room, and both the science room and the family and consumer science room would look out or have a door to the greenhouse. The greenhouse was not in the original program. In meeting with the science teachers, they were pretty adamant that this needed to be something that was included since it's currently in their program. There is a greenhouse at West right now. Some of the areas in the corridors where students can touch down. Then in the eastern portion of the building, as I mentioned, 3,000 seat gymnasium, full-size auxiliary gym with a full-size basketball court, second floor fitness lab, wrestling room, weight room, 8-lane pool, cafeteria, and a multitude of team rooms. Having a lot of good feedback and discussion with the PE athletics department, and I think we've managed to get all the requests that they want in there, most of them at least.
tomorrow, it's not apples and apples, it's apples and oranges. There's an urban district that's in Florida there, they also have technical, technical school district. And that's still functioning out of that. So it's not, so you're saying that that is, so let's just do a presentation, after we talk about it, it's a different high school to look at the layout.
Just a shot of the gym lobby, and then this is a short video coming in from the parking lot into the gym lobby, and you'll end up in the 3,000-seat gymnasium. Natatorium on the right there. Again, the entrance into the gym. Then just a still shot of the gym. Idea of what the inside of the natatorium may look like. And then I think Miranda's going to take over right here.
We're just going to go over a couple of the exterior shots. To place yourself there, Hood Boulevard is on the bottom. And then this is a view from the main entrance is there on, thank you. The main entrance is there on the right side. And then here on the far left is the auditorium. In the center is the Commons and the Media Center. And then that begins on the right side, the start of the academic side of the building. Here's what we were calling the semi-open courtyard. This is the center of the academic portion. And again, this is on the far left, there's the music wing, and you have the auditorium, the Commons, the Media Center, and then the academic wing. As you saw in the last video, here's the entrance to the gym. On the left is the cafeteria, in the center is the Commons, the gym lobby, and then on the right is the natatorium. We also have a nice terrace outside of the cafeteria for students to spill out into the courtyard. We've been calling it Falcon Terrace, and on the left you can see that we also provided a small canopy for students when they eat outside. When we were designing the school, we know that prom is very important, so we wanted to make sure we provided a nice space for the parade to drop off with your red carpet there going into the gymnasium lobby. Again, there's Falcon Terrace. And here's a video that takes you down Hood Boulevard. So there's the cafeteria, and then this is the beginning of the academic wing. There's the Media Center, the Commons, and the auditorium, and the music portion. There's a view from Hood Boulevard. Another one. Another one. Here's a view from Queen Anne Drive. And this video takes you all the way up to the main entrance of the high school. Your bus loop is there on the right side. Here's a view from Old Boulevard. And that's it. Any questions?